Well, hello and welcome to another Jimbo's Driveway. I remember that I did say in my last video that this might be it for this year, but this really is going to be it for this year. I just thought I'd do one more follow-up video to my my last one where I took the XJS out for its proper first road test after getting it back from SE Jags. And today the follow-up is just a slightly different one because I'm actually going to be using the car for my day-to-day work, and that's partly because at the end of the day I'm going to be taking it to SE Jags where it's going to be put into storage over the remainder of the winter. It's what date is it today? It's the 6th of December today, and the car's going to be going into storage probably until the early spring. So this is kind of a last hurrah for the car. I've got some computers to take down to a customer of mine who's about a 30-mile journey away. So I thought I'd give the car a final little run, and we'll just talk about some of the reality versus the perception that might come across in this video. You can see my other cat in the background. Yeah, looking a bit camera shy, better let him in. Anyway, let's get on, let's get the car started, and I'll tell you a little bit more about what we're doing today and once we're on the road. Well, no sooner have we left than you realise the first point of practicality over this car is you always forget when you jump in it, it's always going to need petrol. So the first stop of the day, as usual, is the petrol station. Now these cars are thirsty cars, and petrol prices at the moment are the highest they've been in a long time, probably if ever. Nearly £1.70 a litre of V-Power, and the reason I use the V-Power is because of the whole E10, E5 thing with petrol now. I really need the Super Plus or the V-Power because I don't want to risk perishing any of the rubbers in the car. Even though they've all very recently been done in here, I don't want to risk it. I'm only going to use that more expensive grade of petrol. So there we go, first stop, petrol station. Now let's see if we can get on with the rest of the day. We have a Jag behind a Jag. What you can also tell from that is that my rear heated window doesn't work particularly well. There's a couple of lines missing, but in the main it works, so that's all good news. What we can also see is that I'm stuck in absolutely solid traffic. I definitely made a mistake at the time I left this morning. So I have absolutely no idea what is going on this morning, but my usual 10-minute commute into the office from home has so far taken me about 25 minutes, half an hour with a stop for fuel. That was only quick, and according to the map I've still got a good 15 to 20 minutes to go. Absolutely crazy. So I don't know what is going on here. As you may well be able to see, I am just bumper to bumper. On the plus side, the car is behaving very well, it's sitting very nicely. There's certainly no issue with heat in this car. It's a December morning, so it's quite fresh out, but within, literally within 10 minutes of having this car running and having the heaters up full, it's absolutely baking in here. So I've now got the heater controls turned down to a low and a moderate temperature, and it's very comfortable, and the car's behaving itself very well in this bit of traffic. So that's a good plus point and a good test. What I would see, what you can also see, is there's a bit of condensation across the dials. That means that somewhere there's some moisture getting into this car, and as the car warms up, that moisture is then becoming condensation on the back, which is maybe something that needs a little bit of investigation. Anyway, on we go with this traffic. Well, here we are. I made it down to the office in Bexley. So this is my office where I work. I run a small business repairing Apple Mac computers and doing IT support for businesses that use Apple technology. If you want to find out more about that, you can. I've got a YouTube channel for that. If you look for Fruit Geek Apple Repair, or look at our website fruitgeek.co.uk if that's something you might be interested in. But here's my office, and it brings about the first practicality issue I face with this car. Even though it's not super low, I have even thought about seeing if we could lower it a little bit further, but decide against it because speed bumps are an absolute nightmare. This speed bump that is the entrance to our car park at the office. It might not look much on this video, but trust me, the car grounds out on this bump. And you know, if you're in sort of like a suburban area, speed bumps are the bane of every driver's life, and particularly if you've got a low car. There's nothing worse than the sound of that exhaust scraping on a speed bump as you go over it, especially if you've got something underneath which is not your standard exhaust. Anyway, let's get on. Hopefully the roads are going to be a bit clearer on our trip down to, we've got to go to Maidstone now, which is about 30 miles or so to where I've got to go to. Hopefully the roads are freed up a little bit and we can talk a little bit more about some other aspects of the car. Well, at last we've managed to pick up the computers from my office, and as you can see, the cavernous boot of the XJS swallows 3 21.5-inch iMacs, no less, with no problem at all, which is, you know, even surprising to me. I thought we was going to have one of those boxes knocking about on the back seat, but no. As you can see, they all fit nicely in the boot of the car, which is wonderful. So, and the traffic seems to have eased up now, so hopefully we can have a better run down to Maidstone. So I wanted to talk a little bit more in this video about the perception versus the reality of owning one of these cars. In the last video I felt that it was obviously a reflection of the fact I hadn't had the car for a long time. I'd had a lot of work done to the car over previous months, and so getting a chance to get out and enjoy it was a real high. And I think it was right that we focused on that in the last video. But as I kind of wrap up for this year, and I wanted to sort of like also add some other reflection on this car, which is, you know, the reality of ownership and what that entails. Once you get this car out on the open roads, and, you know, to enjoy it on a good day when it's all working, you know, everything absolutely seems completely worth it. But there is another side, and this is something that may well be shared by other classic car owners, or sort of like modern classics, the sort of classics you think you can just get in and use all the time. But the reality is, for about 6 days a year, you might get out to some shows and use the car, or get out to some events, or get out to take it for a drive. But the remainder of the year, unless you've got it tucked up in a nice cosy garage at home, which I don't, I've got it on the driveway, you're constantly worrying about the car, whether it's out in the elements, whether, you know, there's any water getting in that's going to cause corrosion and things like that. Is the car going to start the next time I use it? How much is it costing me to sit there? All these kind of things add up, and they do sort of take over your enjoyment to some degree of the car, because you think, I don't want to take the car out just willy-nilly, because every time I take it out I know I'm going to be sticking some money in the tank. That all adds up. As much as I do think this car now, I can just jump in, start it and use it, you know, every time I go near a speed bump I'm wincing and not wanting to go over it. I can't even park it in my office at work. I have to find somewhere on the road to park it, and then it's like, oh, it's left on the road. Do I really want to be leaving my car on the road like that? So, you know, these are all the realities, and where I have, you know, many people commenting, thank you, saying, you know, oh, we really love the look of the car. It looks great now. I hope you can really enjoy it, and I hope I can enjoy it. And don't sell it and all the rest of it. And as much as I've got no plans to sell it immediately, I can't get away from the fact that, you know, it costs me a lot to own this car, and I just don't know if I can keep it forever, shall we say. And I am going to be considering what I do over the winter period and into the spring. I don't want to sell this car. I absolutely love this car, and like I say, for those few days a year I am going to get out to use it, that's absolutely, that's absolutely great. But how many of those days are we really going to get? To mention is that yes, it's running a lot better than it was, but even after doing maybe a couple of 100 miles, if that, since I've had it back and got to drive it again, it's obvious that there are still some things that are going to need addressing. It's very difficult to pick up on the video, but when you accelerate and change gear, there's a bit of a shimmy from the back end, which feels quite disconcerting, shall we say, to put it mildly. It's fine, but I've spoken to Andrew about it, and he said likelihood is it's probably a perish rubber at the within the radius arms or the rear suspension setup that may well need addressing. And again, he's like, oh, they're not too bad. They're about 300 quid aside to brand new from Jaguar, original from Jaguar, new radius arms. But laying that right on top of all the other expense and the work I've had done, and I wouldn't even mind, but like I said in my last video, this has put me in a bit of a hole at the moment. I haven't got any more money to spend on it. It just does make me consider the longer term prospect of running this car and what's involved, and the amount of expense that has to go into it for the amount of driving you get out of it. Other things that need doing, someone rightly pointed out that the gear stick is moving about. That needs a new bush, a new rear gearbox mount, and there are various other bits and pieces that I would really like to get done, and we haven't even started on the interior that could do with some tidying up. But there you go. Nevertheless, I'm not in a rush. I'm not getting rid of this car immediately or anything like that, but these things I do have to consider, and while the car's in storage over the winter, this is what I'm going to be thinking about. I'm going to be thinking about how I can really get the most out of the car next year to really make owning it worthwhile, and all the financial expenditure that goes along with it. car's back. I've done a bit of Christmas shopping on the way and put the biggest box you could ever fit in the boot of an XJS. It was a bit touch and go. I'm not sure it was going to get in there, but as you can see, it's a very versatile car, the XJS. Huge boot, very good for Christmas shopping. So that was a plus point. The car's back here. Andrew's going to look after it for me over the rest of the winter months. We haven't made a firm plan of when we're getting it back, but you know that will be at some point in the spring.
Yeah, not 9 months later.
Not 9 months later, no. I mean, I did say though, this car knows when it's coming here, because just before we got here, something started knocking at the rear as I was pulling away. This kind of ties on to what I was talking about earlier when I said the car's got this bit of a shimmy when I go between like gears, and something doesn't seem quite right at the back, and you think it's
either an axle, a V-mount on the axle, or it may be radius arm or something, but I need to obviously look into it first.
I was kind of going, oh, this is going to be like more thousands of pounds worth, but you're saying it's maybe, hopefully it's not as dramatic.
Yeah, it sounds, from what you're describing, it sounds it's clearly got a bush broken or something's worn somewhere, so until I get it on the ramp,
yeah, I
can't really say.
Well, there's no rush. There's a little New Year's project for you. Yeah. You can't wait for that. Yeah. Just before we go, there's always something here. There's always something new here that I always fall in love with, and today it's this brown XJ coupe that I've spotted over in the corner. Ordinarily, that wheel, the white all tyres and brown aren't really things I would ordinarily go for, but on this car it just all looks together. It looks fantastic. It looks like it belongs in Beverly Hills in the 1970s. That car, it looks fantastic. What is it you're going to be doing with that? Are you recommissioning it? Because it looks like it needs a bit of TLC.
New tanks,
yeah,
which aren't in yet because the original tanks come out, and the fittings for the fuel pipes are different. They're different thread on the new tanks,
right?
Which the customer supplied.
Yeah.
So I've got to now try and, I'm not sure, I've got a ring tomorrow. I'm not sure if you can get a fitting kit for them.
You like a challenge, don't you?
Oh, I know.
It's like
it's punishment, I think.
My car went, and then other people bring you there.
Yeah, that Mark II being one of them.
Yeah.
She's coming along nicely though.
Yeah.
She should be running next week.
Wow. Right.
Well, the thing that's going to be stopping me is the radiator. I know a lot of people are probably going to go, no, you can buy it easy. There's no one at the moment, and I don't know if it's because of the whole Corona thing. Yeah. I know it's not an excuse, but no one's made an aftermarket one.
All right.
You can get aluminium ones and stuff, but the guy that owns the car wants an original one.
Yeah.
There's not one out there.
Right.
So I've had to send his one away to get it recalled. Yeah. And it's 7 to 10 days, which it went last week. Yeah. So I'm touch wood.
You're hoping to get it next
week?
I'm
hoping to get it.
Yeah.
And then I can fit it and fire her up, hopefully.
Oh. Good. That'll be another one nearly done.
Yeah, I've done all the rest of it, so it's very nearly done.
Wonderful. Well,
so
that's it from us. That's it from Andrew this year.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
That's it from me this year, because this is where I'm wrapping it up.
Hello mate, so we're looking at your car, and I think that could be the problem why your axle's moving around. Yeah, I'm really sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but as you can see, I'm sorry about the crap light. Yeah. Same this side, I'm afraid. Oh my god, well, I'm really crap with it, I'm so sorry. Yeah, it's not... I'm afraid we're going to have to weld it, mate. It's quite rotten.
Well, there you go, guys. What can I say? Having had the car back for not much more than 5 minutes, taking it out and using it, but actually putting some power through the drivetrain has revealed the hidden nightmare of rust in the body shell. Quite clearly there's a fair bit around the rear arches that needs to be addressed. and having had the car up on the ramp and having a good close look around it earlier on in the year, there was no sign of any problems until then. So the metal must have been weaker than we realised, and having used the car has now kind of ripped that weak metal to shreds and left, you know, another set of problems to deal with moving forward. So I've clearly got some decisions to make in terms of where we go next year. I have had some prices already just to repair what needs doing there, which isn't, you know, fortunes, but as we've already discussed, not really got more budget to be thrown at the car right now. Wasn't really anticipating this, and I'm concerned that just by fixing what you can see isn't always necessarily the best route. If you've got an old car and it's got some corrosion, I think it needs a bit more investigation than that. So we've got to think about that, and I'm going to have to decide how we approach it. But that's it for now, and that's it for this year. All that leaves me to say is I hope you have a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and I will see you again in 2022. If you haven't subscribed already, please do subscribe to the channel. It really helps, and I'm really trying to get my subscriber base up. We've got a lot of exciting stuff to do next year. Hit that bell button if you haven't already, because you get a notification, because it might be a little while before there's a new video up. And if you've liked the video, please hit that like button. That's all from me. Take care for now. Bye bye.